All right, welcome back, everybody, to the VW ID Talk podcast. We're your hosts, Jan and Wes, and today we are going to talk about something important that is often overlooked in an electric vehicle. That is your 12-volt battery. The same old 12-volt lead-acid battery that we've been dealing with for more than a century now, but better than they used to be. Jan, what did you figure out about this?
So the question is, why would you care about the 12-volt battery when your car has a high voltage battery? Like you literally have 77 kilowatt hours of energy hauling with you, right? Well, it is important because the car does not work without 12-volt power. And the way how these high voltage cars are done is for safety. The high voltage battery is disconnected.
Right.
And then the 12-volt system connects the high voltage battery after all the checks are done. When, for example, when you turn on the ignition, right? Or if you want to unlock the door, guess what? The door locks are powered by 12 volt. The entire, the most of the electronics in your car, as we said, from audio to windows, are powered by 12 volt. There are only few high voltage components. Of course, the motors, AC compressor, and heater. That's pretty much it, right? And yes, there's this DC-DC converter. We won't have time to go deep into this.
Yeah.
So if your 12-volt battery is dead, you have no way to unlock the car electronically or starting the car.
And the point that you're making with the safety here is that the car has basically what's called a contactor or a set of contactors, which are basically really big relays for people that aren't into that. And so in order to keep the high voltage from being active, the 12 volt opens or closes those contactors. So without it, you're not going to be able to get anywhere.
And you can hear those contactors. That's this like clunk that you hear when you, not when you're unlocking the car, but when you typically turn on the ignition, or once you lock the car and walk away, then you hear this clunk, and those are the high voltage contactors. There are different types of 12-volt batteries that you can get. So normally the battery that I got when my car was upgraded to the software 3 was so-called EFB or EFB plus, which is a better than the SLI, the regular technology that I had there before, because the problem with these batteries is the charging, right? Typically, so when you start an ICE car, then there is generator that's or alternator that start pushing current into the battery. But for our cars, the car is online all the time, and it slightly discharges the battery all the time. And so the high voltage electronics wakes up and charges it, and then goes to sleep again, and etc. So it's this like continuous cycle. And so there are different, and you can all, if you're interested about like EFB versus so-called AGM or Fleece battery, you can read out on these technologies. It's a great way to see the innovation even in the lead acid battery. But the point is that if you are changing your 12-volt battery, then you can upgrade it to a better type that potentially lasts longer, because my EFB battery lasted exactly 3 years.
That's pretty impressive. I mean, it's amazing that it lasted such a short amount of time, I think, to most people, right? And so the original ID.4s came with standard flooded lead acid batteries, not even the
SLI.
EFB. It's out with SLI. And so the dealerships decided or the VW of America decided we needed to upgrade the EFB. I've got an AGM to upgrade when mine fails. Mine has not failed yet. So there's all kinds of weird symptoms when your battery.
Yeah, and I think that VW actually did it the right way, I think, right? Okay. So, and I'm sorry, I just sorry for so much light here in these pictures for the sun. I like. We live in state of Washington, and every spark of sun we really enjoy here. So
God's smiling on you.
I know exactly, and so when you power your car, you see these yellow triangle and yellow low voltage battery symbol here, and it says ever 12-volt power supply, please service your vehicle. So of course what I've done, I've been ignoring this, but this was coming on and on. I've charged the battery, but if the battery is already on the way out, there is no way to bring it in. And then on your display, on the big display, it kind of shows you, hey, this is where the battery is, and that's pretty much the same message saying, please service the vehicle. So what the car is saying, please change my 12-volt battery.
Yeah.
So you have two options. You can either bring it to your dealer or a service, or do it yourself. And if you decide to do it yourself, that's exactly what we are going to walk you through today.
Okay.
The first step is locate the battery, right? Which I think it makes sense. But Wes, we've probably there's some great write-up on the forum. If you also want to read, we'll link it down below. But we'll walk you step by step on how you can do it and where you can find the battery. So you can see that the battery is in for ID.4. It's in your front engine compartment space.
Yeah, sure. So on the driver's side, near the firewall, close to where the driver sits, and you can see the cables on top there where they've got a few fusible links for separate things underneath a plastic cover.
Yeah.
So the unfortunate thing about this is, you can see Yana and I both actually have the same front kit installed there on the left. The unfortunate thing is that that large, I guess that's a sway bar there on the top, right? Anti-sway bar.
Plus, it's a sway bar here. Yes.
Right.
So now when you know where the battery is, that's where you need to start wrenching, like literally. So, all right. So once you located the battery, then the step 2 is remove the strut bar, and it is 6 14 millimeter bolts, right? So that's this black bar, and you can see that it has 2 bolts at the back, 2 in the middle, and 2 in the front. And you need to unbolt these and open and remove the strut bar, because without it, you won't get into the battery.
Yeah. I think that's a very special Volkswagen experience. I've never had to do that for a battery before.
But it gives you, like, why the strut bar is there, it gives you better ride because it gives you stiffer chassis.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It works like an anti-sway bar or anti-roll bar, some people call it. Yeah.
Exactly. So once you remove it, you see that it's gone. Then there are these 2 plastic pieces that you need to pull out. So there's no screw. You just pull them up. But watch those clips, because if they break, you would have a bad night.
Yes. Luckily, those pieces are not that expensive, but it's still better to.
Exactly. And then what I also like to do, I like to move the windshield washer spout on the side, so you have more space to reach the battery. Right?
Yeah, that's easy. You just unclip it, slide it up, move it out of the way.
Exactly. Then the next thing is de-energizing the car, which is kind of okay. So even if you disconnect your 12-volt battery terminal, your car is still alive, because there is a DC-DC terminal converter that converts the high voltage energy into or the high voltage power into 12 volts, or to power the 12-volt system. So there is a special system, a special set of steps. Like, people do this differently, but this is how I usually do it, and we can chat about like how we all do this.
I was going to say this is important because this is different than an ICE vehicle, right? No ICE vehicle could be alive with the 12-volt battery disconnected.
The first thing that I do, I open the driver door. So because when we de-energize the car, you won't be able to open it. So open the driver door. Then the next step is disconnect negative battery terminal. So it's the far terminal that is on the far that has this 10 millimeter nut, right? So you just loosen the nut and then pull the entire assembly up. Yeah. But there is this battery sensor that VW recommends to unplug as well. So as I pull it up, there is a lock on the bottom of this connector. So you just pull it up, press it, and then pull the entire connector out, right? So that's the step 3. And then the step 4 is if I usually step on the brake or turn on the ignition, and you hear that the car shuts off. You would see all the displays will shut off, and if it doesn't, then put it in the drive, then it 100% shuts off.
Gotcha. All right. So yeah, we want to make sure that's disconnected so the car doesn't keep trying to charge the battery that's not there. All right. Okay.
Yep. And it's like this follows the VW procedure, right?
Excellent.
All right. So now when you did that, then there is this power terminal that is on top of the battery. So this is the connector for the power sensor that I mentioned. Okay. These wires are brittle, so I like to disconnect it from the positive terminal here and stow it behind. And as I mentioned before, this gray clip needs to be pulled out And then to disconnect the connector, you just press on it from this side, and then you pull the connector.
Okay.
So once you store this safely, then you can pull this entire thing from the battery, and then there are some clips on the side that you may need to unclip it from the battery as well, so that you can easily reach to it. So this was my original battery, and as you see, it's so-called EFB plus. Here you can also see the part number. So if you want to replace it like for like, this is the exact part number.
Okay.
So what I've done, what you have not seen here, I've also disconnected the positive terminal.
Okay.
Right. So all of us disconnect the negative first, and then
Yes.
the positive.
So the next step is going to be to remove that hold down clamp. That
exactly.
You've got
this entire clamp. And this entire clamp has a small notch here. That would be important for reinstallation. And so this is 14 millimeter nut. And so this is the illustration. So remove this 14 millimeter nut. You might need a longer wrench to remove the bolt, and then the green clip comes out. And then once it's out, you need to slide the battery forward to the vehicle, because you see that there are these notches where the battery is sitting in. So you cannot pull it up. You have to slide it forward and then pull up.
Yeah.
And so what I usually do, I just inspect the space, and I like to keep it nice and orderly and clean. So I usually clean it. And as you see, I use some duct tape to tape this entire assembly in place, so it just doesn't keep like flipping back, because the battery is heavy, right? So the new battery, when you install the new battery, you have to drop it in place and push it forward. See how I pushed it forward?
That way those lips slide over the top of the hold downs on the battery. And
yes, they have to slide into, exactly. And then you can try how well it works. And then the next thing is that you reinstall the battery clip down below here, and replace and add the 4 millimeter bolt. I don't have that specific video for this here, but I think you have the point that the clip has to slide into this small groove right here, right? So it has to slide in here, and this is where the bolt comes. I like to keep things according to spec, so 20 Newton meters is the torque.
So if you don't have a torque wrench, it's a great excuse to buy one.
Exactly. So. Yeah, exactly, 100%. Harbor Freight, Amazon, yes, I agree. So step 10 is connect positive terminal, which is this one, the one forward. Then connect the negative terminal, which is this one at the back. 10 millimeter bolt, 5 Newton meters. That's the torque spec for this bolt. And then don't forget to connect the battery monitor, because the ICAS one, your gateway would be complaining pretty soon. So this is the monitor, and don't forget to push in this gray clip. So. Okay. I would just say, don't forget, please, don't forget to reinstall these trim pieces before you add the strut bar, because
there will be cursing otherwise.
Exactly. This goes first, then this goes the second, and the strut bar, it goes the third. Right? Okay. I installed the strut bar without these trim pieces, and I had to remove the strut bar again. So don't make that mistake, please. Okay.
Ask me how I know.
Ask me how I know, exactly. Okay, and then you come to something that what we call with Wes the Christmas tree.
Yes.
So you turn on the ignition, and you will see every single error known to man that will light up on your dashboard. It's expected. Don't worry about it. The first thing is to adapt the steering wheel. So while the ignition is on, you have to turn it. You have to be in the drive mode, or no?
I don't think you have to have it in drive.
Gear. Okay, so just ignition on, turn it all the way to the left, wait, 21, 22, 23, turn it to middle, wait, turn it all the way to the right, wait again, and then to the middle, and then that adapts the steering wheel. And then you might also need to adapt the windows, meaning the one touch operation, that it goes all the way up, all the way down. Is
that only required with a battery replacement, Jan, or is that anytime you disconnect the 12-volt terminal,
negative terminal? Anytime I like power down, de-energize the car, I need to follow this
Okay.
procedure. Maybe your newer version doesn't need it already.
Well, I haven't been doing it, so this is something I just learned today. Thank you. It's that's useful information. Oh, so this is from your app. I see what you're doing here.
So now we are not done yet, and this is probably the most difficult or important part of the entire swap, is that you have to tell the car what battery is there. And maybe I'll just show this beginning of the video here, is that you have to update couple fields. Most importantly, if you would update only one, then it's the serial number. It was all ones. I've added all two, so you can just change the last digit to 2. But then if you have added an AGM, if you've changed the battery technology, what we have done to AGM, you have to select Fleece. Not there is something like AGM here or some other value that looks like AGM, but that's not the correct value. This
Right.
has to say Fleece.
It may seem strange, but what that is actually an overly literal translation from German, because AGM is absorbed glass mat. It's a fiber mat, and so they're calling it like a fleece mat. The one that says AGM is for spiral AGM, like the Optima batteries. That's not what you're going to be putting in there. So yeah, so Jan's right. And the reason for this.
So if you're doing the Optima AGM, then maybe that's the AGM here, right? So that would be for the Optima battery.
Yeah, but the reason for this is the car has a different charging curve for AGM batteries than it does for EFB or regular lead batteries. And you don't want to burn up a new AGM battery by overcharging it. And so telling it that it's Fleece will tell it to use the correct charging curve. And the other thing is changing the battery serial number tells the car that you have a new battery. And that's important because then it expects the capacity to be higher, and it's not going to charge it as much to try to increase the capacity. So that's important for the charging electronics. The last thing is, if you decide to put a bigger battery in,
you have to adjust the rated battery capacity, and that is printed on the battery. Mine originally said 48, and I had to change it to 50. And the battery manufacturer, I just said, Johnny for electric. Why not, right?
That's great. I mean, that's the one thing that you don't have to change.
You don't have to change it, but you can. And then obviously you can, I would just say triple check everything. Triple check that all the ports are connected well, that the battery sensor is connected, that your all bolts are torqued properly. And then I also went in with VCDS and second pair of eyes, which I think is super important, as you've seen in the video, to check that the setting is there in VCDS. And so it's just module 19. That's the same place where I went before in OBDeleven. Then you go into adaptation, search for battery. So I just say BAT, BATT. And then when you open the dropdown, it would show you all these values that we have changed in VCDS. Here it is, right?
So yeah, that's a great way to validate. And by second pair of eyes, you of course meant your dog, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, all right. So this is really, really informative. Thanks for taking the time to put all this together, Jan. So I guess the summary is that you can definitely replace your own battery, but it's definitely not as simple as what you're used to. And you absolutely need to code module 19, and that requires unlocking SFD. So if you don't have OBDeleven or the D1st coder tool, you're going to have find someone who does.
100%.
And of course, the most important thing is patience. Triple check everything.
Patience, 100%. And what AGM battery I got? I just got a H4 AGM battery from O'Reilly's, from my local shop. They even had some code, some promo code for delivery. So despite it's like 2 blocks away, it was cheaper to have DoorDash deliver it, which kind of was odd, but that's that's what it is. And then for the old battery, you had some core charge. So meaning that if you return the old battery to the shop, then you'll get that charge back, which is somewhere like $20, $25 for me.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
Great. Well, thanks for making something complicated sound less complicated.
Okay. Hopefully we've achieved that. Let us know what other things would you do if you change your 12-volt battery, and if you would do it yourself or have your dealer do this. Great. Thanks very much for tuning in, and please subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. Take care. Bye.
Thanks.